Some years ago, when travelling in Germany, it was our fortune to make the acquaintance of a Roman Catholic clergyman who was the subject of a most strange and frightful spiritual visitation. In the year 1838, he had been appointed to a village parish and entered upon his work with an ardour that distinguished him in all his pursuits. The first night that he spent in his own residence, he could not sleep. Hour after hour he lay tossing on his restless bed and rose in the morning without having closed an eye. He attributed this, however, to the excitement of his spirits, the strange bed, the fatigue of his journey, in short, to any cause but what proved to be the true one. The second night came and he rested no better. The third and the fourth equally failed to bring him repose. He changed his hour of going to bed, worked hard during the day, did everything possible to win sleep to his pillow, but in vain. It might be on the 7th or 8th night that he felt, as he lay feverishly turning from side to side, something sitting, as he thought, on the side of his bed. He sat up, groped with his hand over the bed coverings to the place where the pressure seemed to be, and was sensible of something that yielded to a push, but immediately after returned to its former place. He got up and lighted a candle. There was nothing to be seen on the bed, and nothing to be found in the room that could have been the cause of his sensations. He lay down again, leaving the light burning. And now first did a superstitious awe steal over him, when he felt the weight on the bedside as before, while his eyes assured him that nothing visible occupied the place. Of sleep there was now no hope, and not only for that night, but for many following, till the health of the man, thus at once deprived of his natural rest, and pursued by the terrors of an invisible world, began perceptibly to give way. This had gone on about a fortnight, when he began to see something. It was the shape of a woman, veiled from head to foot as it seemed in a grey mist, sitting on the bed. The haunted man began to fear for his reason. He wrote to Schubert, to Dr. Kerner, to Professor Eschenmayer, to everyone he could hear of as versed in the secrets of psychology. He detailed his sufferings, he supplicated help. As might be expected, the correspondence had no result but that of rendering the case more hopeless. The sufferer travelled from one master of the mystic science to another, and it was while on a visit to Schubert that we became acquainted with him. Of course, all that could be done for him was done, and amounted to just nothing. He returned in despair to his parish, and to put the reality of the apparition to a new test, he spoke to it. It answered. He related this to his friends. They smiled and said his poetical temperament was carrying him too far. More than one said, "Send your spectre to me. If there be anything in her, I'll find it out." He promised to do so, and kept his promise. Sleep, so long a stranger, revisited his bed. But the next morning, the rash inviter was sure to come and say one visit was enough for him, a second such night would drive him frantic. The niece of the clergyman, who was his housekeeper, a good-hearted and religious girl, heard of this, and begged her uncle to send her the apparition. He did it from time to time to have a night's sleep. The phantom lady, in all her visits to others, kept silence. No one but the clergyman ever heard her speak, perhaps because no one else had the courage to speak to her. But what she said to him, he could never be induced to tell. So stood the matter when we were brought into contact with him. From other sources we have learned that he often passed his night in the open air, to evade the dreaded visitation, unwilling to lay too heavy a tax on the self-sacrificing affections of his niece. Finally, on his deathbed, he confessed the apparition which had haunted him so long and so painfully was that of a young girl whom he had seduced many years before, and who had died of a broken heart, because he had refused to renounce holy orders and marry her.